thrilled to be here. I'm more thrilled to be here now than I was when I walked in the door. And I think probably this has been a good idea camp, hasn't it? Yeah. A very good idea camp. Most of the people who spoke, probably all three of the others that spoke tonight, probably were invited or asked to speak. I begged, didn't I, Lance? I begged. I launched an email campaign to Lance Allison and said, please let me speak at the ATC. Because this place is everything that I love and everything I want to see happen right here in Bay County. And that's sort of what I want to talk to you all about tonight. One thing that even thrills me more is that I'm in the room with two Silicon Valley veterans. And if you are a technology and sort of, I call it buff, I won't say geek. Like Mike can call himself a geek because he's succeeded in Silicon Valley. But I'm very glad these guys are here, and I'm even more glad they spoke exactly what they wanted to, what they spoke about, because there's a theme developing tonight. And what I'd like to do is tie a little bit of a bow on it, and then also give some very practical tips for what I think is a very special moment about to happen here in Bay County. And that, as a matter of fact, is the title of my talk, is There Are Moments. But first, I want to give you some books to read. Homework. This is a school, after all. First book I want to call to your attention, many of you have probably read this book, or one of his books. This is a book by Malcolm Gladwell called Outliers. If you haven't read a Malcolm Gladwell book, do yourself the favor, turn off the television, and read one of this guy's books. I highly recommend Outliers. He's written 3 or 4 others, and they're wonderful and marvelous, and so unique in the way he looks at the world that it will, you'll wonder how you never saw things that way. Outliers. Second book by Stephen Johnson called Where Our Good Ideas Come From. And that's what the book does. It studies successful ideas, companies that have successful ideas, human beings that have successful ideas, and what did they do? What was unique about the environment where they were that made it breed those ideas? Fascinating book. Very practical as well. And the last one is called The Dawn of Innovation by Charles Morris. And this is more of a traditional history book about the Industrial Revolution in America. And if you want to see the roots of another big moment of innovation, read this book. There are moments. Now, there are times in history, and times especially in America, where all of a sudden you'll see an explosion of innovation and industry and prosperity and ideas and all the things that we at IdeaCamp are here to talk about. And those are really remarkable times. The Industrial Revolution was probably the one that most people are familiar with. Started in Britain, came across America, went over the whole wide world. Silicon Valley, right? The one that we know most about in the late 20th century, Silicon Valley. That was a very special time, and of course, every one of us are so glad those people congregated there and did what they did. Also, say, Burbank in the 1920s, California. The entertainment industry, as we know it, launched in Burbank, California. Why there? Why then? Why those people? And that question fascinates me, because we had the idea that there's some sort of genius to this, that you have to be some incredibly intelligent person with these unbelievably superhuman gifts to be an innovator, to launch one of these moments in history of innovation and industry. And I'm here to tell you the idea I want to put in your head and the secret I want to give you, and that these two Silicon Valley guys can tell you, is you can make your own moment. Can't you? There's no genius to this. You can engineer the circumstances in your community, in your business, in your life, to actually have one of these explosions of innovation and industry. And I'm here to tell you that we are on the verge of one right here. Now, I want to talk a little more nitty-gritty, a little more practically about the things that go into what makes one of those moments, because that begs the question. If I tell you you can make one, well, what do I have to do? What do we have to do to make one of those happen here? We're already starting. Some of this will sound familiar because you're seeing it happen right before your eyes. The first thing, well, there's 3 steps. And ironically enough, they're sort of the same 3 steps you have to prove a crime. You need means, motive, and opportunity. Means. Now, county means for one of these things. Well, you've heard these guys. We have an interstate right there. We have a deep water port right there. We have an international airport right over there. We have 2 military bases. We have 2 world-class educational institutions, one of which just spent $30 million to build a building that might as well have a neon sign on top that says Bay County is open for business. We have 1 million acres of pine forest over there to build on. And we have what we can honestly say, without any marketing exaggeration, are actually the world's most beautiful beaches. Now, that's not a marketing ploy. They are that beautiful, and we have the one other thing that you need now to innovate and to do one of these moments of innovation. We have Wi-Fi. Used to be, think about the Industrial Revolution. What did you need to be an industrious and innovative city in America at that time? You needed a body of water. Think about it. Think about the biggest cities in America: Boston, New York, Jacksonville, New Orleans, Chicago, St. Louis, Cincinnati, San Diego, what's the commonality? They all sit on large bodies of water. They had to, because that's how they transported things. How do we transport things now? Wi-Fi, it's all we need. We have everything we need right here, and we could do it on the beach. There's no reason this can't happen right here. Second thing we need, opportunity. Means, motive. Now, I moved here in 1988. My dad was in the Air Force. I was 13 years old. And I remember very clearly, we were in Germany before we came here. My dad came to me one day and he handed me this newspaper article and he said, here's where we're moving. Next. Read this if you want to know a little bit about where we're going. And the name of the article, it was about Panama City. Can anybody guess? Redneck Riviera was the name of that article. You all are veterans, right? You natives, you know the stink, don't you? I'll never forget it. We're going to the Redneck Riviera. What is that? And those of you who laugh and know what that is will understand why I will never ever allow anybody to call my community the Redneck Riviera anymore. That's gone. That is gone. This is no longer just South Alabama. This is no longer all the things, all the pejoratives that people called this community in this area for so many years. That is no longer the case. And here's how I know that. Thank you very much. Here's how I know that. It's one of my favorite things about IdeaCamp. Because I go into a room and I'm talking to people, and they're thinking the same things I am. They're saying, we're ready to take off. We are ready to take this place to the next level, and we want to do it here. There's a whole generation of young entrepreneurs right now who graduated high school here and couldn't wait to get out. Oh, I got to get out of Panama City. And they went to Atlanta, and they went to Orlando, Jacksonville, LA. They went. They spent about 10 years. They lived the rat race, the highways, all the things that you mentioned. They had a couple of kids, and they go, we got to get the heck out of here. We got to get back to Panama City. We got to get back home. Both of these guys have said it. We got to come back home. So we have this entire pool of motive out there that just needs a blasting cap. That's all we need, is for us to get together and start sharing that passion and taking this place to the next step. And it's going to come from the business community. We all know governments can't do this. Business people do this. We are the ones who take things like this, turn them into moments in history. Means, motive, and opportunity. Now, I'm so glad Mike Ross was here. He had no idea who I was. I introduced myself to him earlier. He didn't know me from Adam, but I knew him. Because when I was first going to talk at IdeaCamp, the first time, a couple months ago, I went back and watched all the old videos because I didn't want to be redundant. And so I watched Mike's video, and he said something to me that stunned me, and that has stuck with me ever since. And he repeated it again tonight. And I don't know if you know how important it is what he said. He said, I came here from Silicon Valley, and I came to Panama City to start a tech business. And people told me, what are you doing? In Panama City, Florida, you're going to start a tech business? You're crazy. And Mike said, no. And the next thing he said stunned me. He said, Panama City is just like Silicon Valley in 1979. Now, does that blow anybody's mind like it blows my mind? If you know anything about what happened in that place at that time. Because I agree. And it affirmed everything that I was feeling and wanting to feel about this community. Because I want to live my life here, and I want to raise my family here, but I want to have all those things that go along with a prosperous and industrious and innovative community, to include new businesses, but also all the culture. I want to see a world-class aquarium and museum and professional sports teams here, and all the things that go along with those types of communities, and all the jobs that go along with it. Beachy Beach, you want to sell houses to those people? Yes, you do. We all want to do business with those people. And so we had the means and the motive and the opportunity. It's all right here. Now, in my remaining minutes, Dave, count please. In my remaining minutes, I want to give 3 very practical ways. Very practical ways. So when we walk out this door, these are things we can do to actually make this thing happen. And they have to do with opportunity. How do we create this? The first thing is to be aware. Be aware. Stop having such tunnel vision. As business owners, it's just part of what we do. We're so working so hard at our businesses that we get tunnel vision. But let me give you a practical example. When you get that beach buzz in your inbox, read it. Read it. Thank you, Lance. Yes. Read it. Because why? Why? It's going to tell you the other things that are going around in the community that you did not know about. Be aware. Watch the news. Look around. Talk to people. And intentionally look for those new things that are popping up in your community that you never knew were there. It'll surprise you. Second thing, be curious. It's not enough just to know about it, but I tell you what. Actually, and this is one that I try to practice myself, and we can do tonight. Take somebody to lunch that you don't know and is in an industry completely different than yours. Don't just network. Networking has its own value, but what is networking? We're trying to sell ourselves to each other, right? We're selling. Let's be honest. We're selling. We're selling to each other. Going to lunch and talking is discovering each other, okay? You're going to talk about your kids. You're going to talk about your life and your passions. You're going to talk about things that don't normally come up in a networking, and here's why that matters. I'll give you a very clear example. After that last one, IdeaCamp, Jason Hedden over here, Gulf Coast, theater, Les Mis, buy your tickets. It's coming up soon. Jason is part of the theater program here, and he and I both spoke at that IdeaCamp. We met. I have a secret passion. I want to write theater, and so but I'm not terribly good at it yet. So I went to Jason and I said, "Hey, I have an idea, but I don't really know how to write the dialogue out. I'm not good." He said, and I've been stymied by this for months and months and months. I go to Jason. He says, "Hey, here's what we'll do. Come to one of my classes, give my kids your idea, and let them improv and see what pops out." That's the fix. It's ideal. It's genius. And I never would have thought of it ever if I hadn't gone over and introduced myself to a new guy completely out of my field. This is why you take somebody to lunch. We've eaten at Antojitos since, right? Awesome fish tacos. Go to Antojitos. Take somebody to lunch in this room that you don't know, that's in a different industry, and what it will do is make you curious about them. You'll discover things about them and their business and other things that you never knew, and what it will then do is help you to connect with them. Because then the next time somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, I need something, but I don't know anybody in town that does that." I do. I had lunch with them last week. Let me introduce you to this person. That's how these things happen. It's a diversity and collaboration. Mike and Randy both said it. Diversity and collaboration. So be aware, be curious. And the last thing you have to be is optimistic. I don't really need to tell that to business people, do I? Right? Because you don't last 5 minutes in business unless you are an optimistic human being. But here's why that really, really matters. Because it's not always easy. And there are bumps in the road, and there are all the cliches that I can give you that I'm telling veteran business people you've been through. But it's the thing that makes us different than the average human being. And it's why they follow us and not the other way around. Because we look for possibilities where other people don't see possibilities. And we will push our way through walls and jump our way over obstacles because we know when we get on the other side of that we can do it. We know we can do it. So, we had the means, motive, and opportunity. There is a moment happening right now in Bay County. And I want to be a part of it. And I want to do business with those people that are going to come down here. Because what I want them to do is not just come here for a vacation and then go back home. I want them to come here, like, by the way, the owner of Icerona, a tech company that came in. I like this place so much, you know what? I'm going to set up shop here. Forget Atlanta. So, means, motive, opportunity. Let's all have a moment together. And let's go to lunch. Somebody take me to lunch. Thank you very much.